Hello, I'm David Hunt, and welcome to Staying Alive. As a panel show about the now generation, grey power I'm talking about, let me introduce our panel. We'll start up the end with Lisa. Hello, Lisa, welcome.
Thank you, David.
And Greg, how are you?
David, how are you?
And Gordon.
How are you, David?
I'm very well, thanks. Our topic today is that little voice inside your head. You've got to trust your instincts. Now, Gordon, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, the funny part about it is I can have second sight at times.
Second sight?
Yeah, I can see things that are going to happen.
Oh,
and
trippy.
Well, yeah, but used to get me a bit funny at times, and suddenly I thought, oh well, who cares, you know? And now I know that certain things are going to happen before they happen.
Like what?
Well,
you know, like that I'm going to win a lottery?
Well,
or?
no, I could sit and just listen to people reading out horse names, and all of a sudden one of them will go ping in my head, and put a bet on it, it wins.
Okay. So what are you thinking of right now? Yeah, is there one of the horse name? Quick.
I've got to listen to them. They've got to be read out to me, or I'll be reading something and I think, oh yeah, that's going to happen, and the next day it will happen.
Wow.
You know, it's just one of those things. So but sometimes if I don't trust my instincts, I think, oh, you idiot, you knew you should have done that, you know. But it's just one of those things. But it's always been like that. But I can't read people's psyches and all that sort of thing. I don't do anything like that. But just in my own mind, I know what actually has to happen, and it will happen.
Okay, Lisa, your thoughts on it?
I think you have a perception at times. So you know, like. If you've got a dilemma, for example, often I trust my instincts to do one thing, and it's usually the right thing because I'm always right.
Women always are.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, but I think it's more a perception, and and it's to do with making those decisions, whether or not I don't know, for example, you've got an issue at work or whatever, whether or not you do talk to the manager and complain about somebody who's maybe bullying you or not or whatever, and generally your initial feeling is the right one to do.
Right. Do you actually talk it through with friends, problems you have, and almost to the extent where you're answering your own questions by actually speaking it out loud sometimes? If you've
got someone who you really trust, I think it is something that I should do. You should do. I've got a very close friend who I do that with regularly, and it puts things in perspective because sometimes you just go off on a tangent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, I have a sister that always wants your opinion and then turns around and does the opposite.
Oh, okay.
And I said, well, why do you bother asking me?
Perhaps she doesn't trust your opinion. Is that the thing?
I've actually never thought of that.
She knows you too well, David.
Greg, your thoughts?
Oh, a big one for this. Last night I was at Phillip Island with a friend coming back from the Penguins.
Penguins?
And there was an Airbnb sign in the pizza shop. Like a little sign mentioning Airbnb in an ad.
Yep.
And just to that point, Jodie Wilmer, who's a friend of Bent and a friend of Joy, messaged me wanting to catch up. Now, she's an Airbnb person. Now, is that spooky or is it just happenstance? But she happened to message at the time I was thinking about her when I saw the Airbnb sign.
Okay.
Similarly, I've got my best mate, his mum, I don't know why I've connected to her, but we'll often think about each other and it's a race to see who rings each other first. And that's a bit bizarre, a bit spooky.
I can know quite frequently who's on the phone before I pick it up. And I pick it up and say, "G'day, so-and-so," and they say, "How do you know it was me?" I sort of just knew.
Wow. My sister this morning rang my brother, who she doesn't have a lot to do with, and he didn't answer, so she rang one of his children, and he was in hospital. And that has happened quite a few times, and she hasn't rung him for the last month because he never rings her. So she likes to keep in contact. And it happens almost every time she rings now that there is something wrong. And, but it's also, when you've got a dilemma, like working situations, or like making the right choice on like what chocolate bar to buy and all that, it is that whole point that you should follow what's in your heart and what you really need to do, don't you think, Greg?
Chocolate bars, definitely.
I think you should always go on your gut instinct.
Yeah.
If you think something's right, go with it, because it usually is.
We're human beings. We connect. We've got a little network of friends and people around us. We bounce stuff unconsciously off people, and we get the feedback. And I think that's how we form our opinion, which usually is right.
Yep. Although sometimes we can be stubborn. and
Never, David.
don't
Never.
David,
listen.
how dare you?
I'm like that.
And
Very
don't listen to
stubborn.
people, like when it's time to maybe downgrade or when it's time to move on from a working situation. You know, like, and when you dig your heels and you go, no, I'm not going to make those changes. And which is the worst thing for you, isn't it? Because you know, like, you need to hear those people.
Sometimes you
actually
get lumbered. If you don't do it, you get lumbered with a bad decision, and that's it. That
Or you
you've
get
got to
stuck,
You
Gordon.
get stuck, and you've got to
You
put up
can't
with
move.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like your vinyl that's sitting there, you know, like what are you going to do with it? You know, like you've got to think about getting rid of it. And I bet you've got books everywhere too.
I have
you?
too. I've got boxes of books stacked under the laundry thing.
I'm thinking it's more than vinyl. I think it's 78s that you've got there. You know, the old-
Don't love. I've actually got a
are-
gramophone, so there you go.
Yeah.
And I have a few 78s.
I don't know
lined
what.
up.
I don't think I've got any 78s. I beg your pardon. There is one there. There is one 78.
That's a fire risk, and that it should tell your instinct that you should clear that fire corridor down your house because that one's
It's not in a corridor. It's in a study where there's no fire. There's no fire in my house. I don't have fires at all.
What do you mean, no fires?
Well, it's the hot water services outside. The,
I see.
air
And you
conditioning's
cook outside.
No, I go out and rub a few sticks together and make a little flame. Yes, David.
Wow, technology, hasn't it moved so
it's
fast?
come a long way.
It is just, and it's an exciting time to be alive as well with, you know, like the smartphone and computers these days. You know,
Well, they're
it's
now
amazing.
talking about computers that learn and have instinct, in effect. And Professor Hawking, Stephen Hawking, was saying the other day, he thinks it's the most dangerous thing for humanity to have computers that learn, or computers that actually have an inside voice.
Yeah.
Who do you trust, the
Who do you
computer with
trust
a voice or
that's
your
it.
own inside voice?
Yeah, I would still think I would trust my own instinct
Yeah, I
rather
think
than a
so.
computer.
Oh, yes. And I think never let go of that. Big Brother's taking over. And talking about Big Brother taking over, our time's up. Lisa, thank you for being part of our panel.
Thanks for having me.
Greg,
Thanks, David. Pleasure.
Gordon.
Thank you, David. Pleasure always.
Okay. And I'm David Hunt, and you've been watching Staying Alive on Bent TV. And we'll see you soon.